top 5 NFL draft running backs. And of course, at number 1, we've got Ashton Jeanty. There's no question about that. 374 carries, which is insane. 2,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, ran a 4.42. So he actually is a burner in this draft, not only on the tape, but with the stats as well. 5'8", so he is a little short. 211 pounds though, so he's an absolute bruiser. We already know that he led the FBS, basically college football, in yards from scrimmage with a little over 2,700. Rush yards, of course, with 2,601. He was a unanimous All-American, Maxwell Award winner, which of course goes to the best running back in the country, the Doak Walker Award recipient, and the runner-up. Should have been the winner of the Heisman Trophy in 2024, earned Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year honors. And it's no surprise because we know, we've seen all year, we've heard the hype, and we know what kind of draft commandment he's getting in the running back of Ashton Jeanty. I mean, he can turn any routine play into a house call. He is an absolute burner. He can run anywhere in between the tackles or outside the tackles. Arm tackles and up high tackles in terms of defenders coming towards him, that's not going to work on him. He's going to shrug you right off and just keep on going. He's got insane jump cuts. The balance might be the best in the class, and it's just crazy because he'll literally bounce off defenders, bounce around defenders, and just keep on going to keep the play alive. And he'll stiff arm, he'll run you over, lunge forward for any extra yards like most of these bigger running backs and, these bell cow guys can be. But that's the beauty of Ashton Jeanty, is he's not just a bell cow back. He can be a burner and turn any routine play into a chunk play, into a touchdown, a house call. If he gets the edge or if he gets a seam, like, you're not going to catch him because he will be running away from you. Just an insane elite athlete who will put it all on the line with every single carry. He's very patient with protection and vision as he starts to come out of the backfield, being patient behind his lineman, able to see the bigger lanes and the bigger holes as he gets through the O-line. And you just turn on his tape, and this guy's just constantly running away from everyone, breaking a tackle, scoring a touchdown. Such solid hands for a running back in terms of protection and also receiving when we're talking about protection, pass blocking for the quarterback. I do think he needs to be utilized more in the passing game at the NFL level if an offense sees fit for that. In 2024, he had 23 catches for 138 yards and a touchdown. But in 2023, he actually had a really nice receiving campaign, 43 catches, 569 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So he's shown that when he's called upon in the passing game, again, if that's in the cards for an NFL team, he'll be able to do that for them. I didn't really see a whole lot of weaknesses on Ashton Jeanty's tape. I mean, yes, he is shorter at 5'8", 5'9", however you want to measure him, but this is RB1 in the class. Again, he can be a bruiser. He can be a burner. He'll catch the seam. He'll catch the edge. He's going to shrug off a tackle, and he's just going to run away from everybody in the NFL. At least that's what he did in college. At number 2, give me Dylan Sampson, the SEC running back out of Tennessee, 5'8", also 200 pounds, ran a 4.42. So a lot of similar measurables to Ashton Jeanty. 258 carries, 1,491 yards, and 22 touchdowns in his 2024 campaign. And he's not only a burner as well, like Jeanty can be, but he can also be a big-time bruiser, kind of similar to Ashton Jeanty as well. I watched him a lot this year, being a Georgia fan, watching a lot of SEC football. Multiple times this year, Tennessee really put the offense on Dylan Sampson, directly on his shoulders, on his back, and he delivered every time in big games or clutch moments when he needed to. He actually has an 80% success rate on third and short attempts. I know y'all are going to flame me in the comments for that slip there, so y'all go right ahead. But Tennessee does not have the season that they just had, getting to the playoffs, obviously getting blown out by Ohio State, if they do not have Dylan Sampson at the running back position for them. Those up high tackles, those arm tackles are not going to work on him either. He'll run you over too. He'll stiff arm you as well. He can take the edge for a touchdown almost every time if you let him get free. He'll cut up the seam on you also. And just a very tough runner who's going to bounce off those tackles more times than not, spin around you, jump cut around you, drag defenders, drag defenders with him 4 extra yards. He's got 929 of his 1,491 rushing yards came after contact. I'll say that again. 929 of his 1,491 rushing yards in 2024 came after contact. So he's insanely hard to tackle. And if you get him past the first point of contact, like he's going to take it for a big game. He's just going to explode through the line into the second level. Good patience behind the line of scrimmage and good vision as well to take it also through the second level. He does sometimes bounce outside a little too quickly on his runs instead of taking those guaranteed yards, in between the hashes, in between the tackles and the guards in the NFL. And he has shown a weakness kind of when defenders are yanking, raking at the ball, tried to strip him, forcing a turnover. And he does have only 39 catches in his college career. So you do want to see him get more incorporated with the passing game. I think that's what makes an NFL running back really good, if not great in today's game, is if you can be like a Christian McCaffrey, be like a Alvin Kamara, be like a Devon Achane when he was healthy, be that receiving back, a Saquon Barkley, be that receiving back out of the backfield, provide that extra weapon, kind of, tree for your offense, or just flat out be a receiver and be able to burn people with your skill as well. At number 3, maybe the fastest and most elusive running back in this draft class. Now, the 40 time's not going to say it running a 4.43. Give me Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, 144 carries, 1,016 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's 5'10", 202 pounds. Now, this is impressive for him being able to have this type of skill set, having this type of numbers, because we know that he shared carries with Quinshawn Judkins, another great running back out of Ohio State that's going to be very favored after in this draft. And I think when you look at Travion Henderson, I see a lot of Devon Achane. I see a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs, just an absolute speed demon who can and will score from anywhere on the football field. Just elite level elusiveness. He'll speed around the edges of defenders and just absolutely blow past them. And again, he'll take the edge, he'll take the seam, and he'll go the absolute distance and take it to the house. And a lot like Ashton Jeanty, you turn on his tape, you just see him running away from everyone. And, when you really start to break it down against the other running backs in this draft class, I would argue that he is the most elusive and the fastest player in this draft, despite his 40 time being a 4.42, or excuse me, a 4.43. Jeanty and Sampson ran 4.42s respectively. He's going to embarrass those arm tacklers and those lazy defenders as well. And he just always finds the most open lane and just bursts through it for a big gain, potentially a touchdown, a chunk play, of course. And we saw how he embarrassed Oregon in the college football playoffs. Just an absolute menace for them, for Oregon defensively, as Travion Henderson offensively was just tearing them up. I think he's got good patience behind the line, also very solid balance and vision. I think he maneuvers around his blockers pretty well when needed also, and he can be called upon as a receiver in the offense. I think he's got smooth adjustments with his hands, and even just some of those off-target, off-balance throws. As a running back is very impressive, because you would expect that out of a tight end, maybe a wide receiver, an actual priority pass catching position in the NFL. He's got 11.1 yards per reception in his career. Now, obviously, he has not been sought after like a receiving back. He doesn't have insane numbers like a Cam Skattebo, who is a very solid receiving back in this draft. But when you call upon him, he's going to deliver. Still sticking with Travion Henderson. He's a natural pass protector. He can stop blitzers dead in their tracks in the 1v1s. Now, his durability can be a little bit of a concern, actually a significant concern when you look at 2022 and 2023. He missed some chunks of the season with some injuries there. And even when he was called upon to have those lead back duties in the Big Ten, of course, where Ohio State is, that seemed to wear on him some. He does bounce outside a little too quickly on some of his runs when he's faced with some interior pressure on the line of scrimmage, rather than just trusting his tackles, his guards on the inside landmarks, in between the, in between the tackles there. At number 4, give me Cam Skattebo. I almost put Quinshawn Judkins at number 4 over Cam Skattebo, but after I watched the tape back another time, I definitely thought Cam Skattebo was a better running back. An absolute bruiser in this class. Very solid build, 5'10", 219 pounds, a 4.62 40 time, 293 carries, 1,711 yards, 21 touchdowns. And when you look at his receiving numbers, 45 catches for 605 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's the most utilized, the best receiving back in this draft in terms of numbers when you take a look at it. And again, like I just said, he's a very physical running back. He's going to plow through defenders anytime he can, which is going to be more times than not. He's got insane balance to keep his plays going. He's going to brush off any type of high, any type of arm tackle or defender that comes his way, trying to tackle him up high or, trying to pull him down by the arms. I think he's got really good vision behind his blockers as well. He's patient enough to let his blocks develop before he actually accelerates and gets ahead of the line of scrimmage, gets into the secondary, gets to the linebacker level. He's a significant red zone threat as well due to his running style. He's going to keep the legs churning. He's going to lean forward. He's going to run with a good pad level. He's going to really bruise the defense and make you think twice about prioritizing for him and or trying to tackle him, whether it's at the line of scrimmage, the red zone, in the open field, because he can make plays at all levels. He can embarrass you at all 3 levels if he has to. Now, he's not insanely fast, but he can also, just like the other backs I've mentioned in here, take an edge, take a seam, take it to the house. He's a very elite cutter at the line of scrimmage to set up the bigger lanes as well. You'll see him kind of bounce off maybe a couple of linemen, get through a couple of tackles, and then just cut his way out of the line of scrimmage to really just be able to to take off on the defenders and on the defense, on the secondary level of the defensive unit, of course. Now, when you take a look at Scattaboo, Ashton Jeanty, Dylan Sampson, they're the best in the class at just not getting jammed up at the line of scrimmage after the handoff and really looking to create after they have that initial contact at the line of scrimmage. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but we watched him operate out of the Wildcat. We did watch him throw a pass or two in college, which was probably just a trick play, scheme over at Arizona State. But if NFL teams want to capitalize on this and potentially use it, I don't think they would shy away from the opportunity if Cam Scattaboo is your running back, a very reliable short yardage back as well, a goal line back who's going to convert much more times than not, 78%, conversion rate on 3rd and short situations in 2024. And that's just from his natural leverage, his natural leg drive that he brings to the table. Now, his ball security is going to be a bit of a concern as well. 10 fumbles over the last 3 seasons. And it often comes from running too high, running too upright into contact, and just not the best technique at protecting the football. He's not going to be your most consistent pass protector. And he could possibly have workload concerns, just like Ashton Jeanty, having 370 plus carries in his Heisman runner-up season. 374 carries. Just wanted to make sure I was accurate there with Ashton Jeanty. You've got 521 carries for Cam Scattaboo over the last 2 years at Arizona State. So you want to make sure that his durability, his workload consistency is going to be able to stay on the up and up as the time goes on for him in his NFL career. And then at number 5 for my top 5 NFL draft running backs for the 2025 class, give me the other Ohio State running back, Quinshon Judkins, 6 foot, 221 pounds, runs a 4.48, 194 catches for 1,016 yards and 14 touchdowns. And this guy actually came bursting onto the scene with Ole Miss, had the 2nd best rushing season by a freshman in SEC history, 1,567 rushing yards, only behind Herschel Walker's 1980 legendary debut. We, of course, know what he did back in the day. And much like his teammate Travion Henderson, he can be called upon in the passing game. He can deliver. It's still impressive that him and Travion had over 1,000 yards rushing, had over 10 touchdowns each rushing, which is great because it shows that they can coexist with another running back in the backfield, maybe be that running back too if they have to, or take on those RB1 roles if it's asked of them, because we saw them do it at Ohio State. Even though he shared some carries with Travion Henderson, he still had over 5.5 yards per carry as well. Now, he seems to be a bit more of the between the tackles, tough, bruising type of running back. Of course, you see his height at 6 foot, his weight at 221. Probably the nastiest stiff arm in the draft. I mean, you watch the tape and just time and time again, he's not just stiff arming you, he is shoving the defender into the ground like shoulder pad first, helmet first. So it's not going to be fun trying to tackle him in the league. And he can really be that short yardage back as well, as we saw Ohio State use him in this role. He'll lower the shoulder, he'll absorb that contact, run you over. He's going to identify those cutback lanes and be able to adjust his path of of rushing the ball as well without losing speed. He's got great vision. The ball security fundamentals are some of the best in the class, as he has just 3 fumbles and 800 plus touches in his college career running the football. Now, I think his top end speed really can improve, as he was chased down a good bit while breaking away on big plays. He's not a consistent pass protector. You'll catch him kind of dropping his head, lunging forward instead of properly blocking. And then also you can see his production slip a little noticeably, not a little noticeably. You can see his production slip noticeably against some better competition. And we saw that in 2024. He averaged under 4 yards per carry in the 5 Big Ten matchups that he had this year. So at number 5, give me Quitshaw Junkins. At number 4, give me Cam Scattaboo. At number 3, give me Travion Henderson. At number 2, I'll take Dylan Sampson. And then at number 1, maybe the best player in the draft, without question, the best running back in his class. It is not even a slight debate, is going to be Ashton Jeanty at number 1. An honorable mention that definitely could have snuck in here, and I would argue that Devin Neal could be over Quitshaw Junkins. It's going to be Devin Neal as well. Is he I just have his name, but I don't have his school. Kansas. I had a feeling it was Kansas, but I wanted to be sure. Devin Neal can be a burner. He can cut to the outside. A lot of those similarities that you see with Travion Henderson, but when I was watching the tape back through again, I just felt like Junkins or Scattaboo, who I had flip-flopped before, we came live on the show. I was watching the tape again, Junkins at 5, Scattaboo at 4. I felt like Devin Neal could have jumped in ahead of one of them, but I'll comfortably keep him here at number 6 / the honorable mention. But if you want to put him ahead of Junkins, I don't blame you. I just don't think he's better than the top 4 that I have here. Also, Caleb Johnson was pretty solid as well. Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton's tape didn't really jump too much to me. I wasn't a big fan of what I saw, and I'm not saying he's not a good back. He can break away from you as well, but I liked what I saw out of the other backs in his class. And then Damian Martinez, not a big-time game changer, not a big-time running back that I feel like is going to make a ton of plays, be extremely fundamentally sound for you like you'll need him to be in the NFL. He was still up here on my draft boards for these running backs, but I've got Damian Martinez at the bottom of this list. Technically, it would be number 9 if we were talking about it, all things considered here. So I want to hear from you guys. Get in the chat, get in the comments. Let me know what you thought just now of my top 5 NFL draft running backs for the 2025 class, giving you our NFL draft running back rankings.
Hey, it's AJL here. Appreciate you sticking to the end of the video here on YouTube. You could have chose any other show, but you chose my video, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Hit the bell on the channel so you never miss a post. Check me out on all social media platforms. Right here, you'll find a chance to subscribe to the show, a related video, and a playlist. See you guys in the next one.